Okay, welcome everybody. It's Saturday afternoon at the NAMI Texas conference. Looking forward to next year when we're all going to be live, but for today we're going to be virtual. And we're going to have a workshop this afternoon on mental health awareness and leadership development clubs. Our presenter is going to be Ms. Donnie Whited. She's a retired educator and lifelong learner. She retired from the San Antonio Independent School District in 2018 after 38 years of teaching at-risk middle and high school students to become productive members of their community. There's a long list of accomplishments and awards that Ms. Whited has received. She was selected to enroll at the University of Texas, UTSA, as one of the first cohort members of the graduating class for for the Urban School Leaders Collaborative, which is a partnership with SAISD. Upon graduating, she was assigned as the academic dean at the Davis Middle School, and upon request of the principal of Thomas Jefferson High School, she was assigned as assistant principal. She serves, besides on the NAMI board in San Antonio, she also serves on the board for the Center for Healthcare Services, our local mental health authority. And with that, I'd like to welcome Ms. Whited to the conference, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much, Doug, for that introduction. That tells a lot about me and my passion for children's mental health. I think it's important that we do everything that we can to service our children. I've noticed that a lot of organizations are doing mental health activities for adults, but not children. So participants, you will go on this journey with me, and I will start from the beginning of how NAMI San Antonio and myself, how we are able or were able to get the Mental Health Awareness and Leadership Club started. In the beginning, in April, what we did was we wanted to know whether there were other organizations within NAMI that was doing something like this. We were able to make contact with Hannah Bolt, and I'm saying her name because Hannah was on yesterday, so I want to give her credit. Hannah was able to share with us some information from a program called Thrive in North Texas NAMI affiliate. And so we spoke with her and attended some of the workshops with her in the silence presentations and asked a lot of questions in order to get this started. And so with that, then came an opportunity to work with the Center for Young Minds. The Center for Young Minds were able to have 14 sessions with a total of 40 youth and to ask them questions. And I need you to listen to this because this is important. Now I am going to read because I want to make sure, because this is what the students said. They indicated, this is the results. They indicated that most youth desire to be in a peer-led group in a casual setting that creates a sense of connection. They indicated that when they share positive experiences with adults, everything was okay. But when they had felt negative or shared negative experiences, then they felt like they were not being heard. They also had coping mechanisms. On my DAEP campus, alternative school, those kids were placed on that campus because of those coping mechanism skills that dealt with using marijuana and illegal drugs. So that is how a lot of kids cope, but that's not a one size fit all. And then the students said this is what the youth said that was powerful. Most youth have asked for school systems to be more attentive to their mental health needs. And as we know, schools are more academic than behavior. And so that's one of the things. And then they did not like being exposed in a clinical setting. They really want to be able to be in what we call an informal peer support group, hence the development of the club and what San Antonio NAMI Club would look like. So we're going to journey now. And one more thing I want to tell you. This is what a 19-year-old said. We need education and information on mental health. Every student should have this information. It reduces stigma and gives us a pathway to manage our own health. And lastly, a student shared this. We need a club so that we can share our feelings so we won't look like outcasts. These are powerful messages for children. This lets you know the need that we need to fulfill for these children during the pandemic, during the missing their socialization with others, and it's what's needed on the club. So I joined NAMI board in September of 2020. When I joined the board, the first thing they asked me was, we would like you to help us establish mental health clubs in schools. And of course, I jumped for joy because this is my passion. This is what I want to do. So I thank NAMI publicly now for giving an opportunity. But I also want people in this session to know that NAMI works with students, with youth 18 and above. So this club or these clubs are epic because now NAMI will be servicing 14-year-olds to 17-year-olds, and the need is there. So we've developed pilot programs on 2 campuses in SAISD, and so I'm going to take you on this journey. What you see before you on this slide is the informational packet that we will review. We wanted to make sure that on the packet it was inclusive of all races, nationalities, and we also wanted to make sure that we had just a little information there to tell about mental health conditions. Last year it was 1 and 5, now it's 1 and 6. So we're getting there, Next slide, please. So the Mental Health Awareness and Leadership Development Club is student-led and student-centered clubs. Students want to be leaders. They want to support themselves without adults infringing upon their talents and skills and knowledge. High school kids have the ability to run clubs and to do things if given the opportunity. NAMI San Antonio says we're going to give those students opportunities to be themselves and do what they want to do. This club is open to all students. Normally on a high school campus, what happens? You must have a certain grade point average, which we call a GPA, passing all of your classes, doing what you're supposed to do on an academic level. But we felt that it was important that this program be inclusive of all students. Anyone who wants to be a member can join. Next, we have that we want these students to be leaders and advocates for mental health, particularly children's mental health. We want to provide a place for the students to be able to talk openly about mental health and mental wellness, their conditions, going with what the Center for Young Minds indicated, that they are safe when they're talking to each other. In this club, students will learn ways to support their friends and family members who have mental health conditions. We're going to make sure that they have the knowledge and skills and talents that they need in order to talk to others and develop a trusting environment where people will talk to them. We're going to educate them, make sure that we increase their awareness about mental health among their peers. But one of the main things that we want to do is to end the stigma of mental health challenges by raising the awareness and educating others about mental health conditions. Next slide, please. Well, what is the purpose of the club? I've given you some information to let you know why we are establishing a club. But it's not only for children, because with NAMI San Antonio or all NAMI affiliates, what we do is we provide information to the community. So with the NAMI clubs, it provides an opportunity to educate and increase mental health awareness for teachers, staff, school administrators, parents, and communities. So you start with one thing, and then you have this umbrella with a lot of other ideas and methodologies and things that you're doing. Next, NAMI provides information and support to school and communities. We'll talk about that. It encourages students who are having mental health issues to think about getting help. And it encourages people to recognize the early warning signs. These students will be taught the warning signs, and they're interested in the warning signs of suicide and the warning signs of mental health. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. Again, work to end the stigma that surrounds mental health. As you can see, I have my little mental health brainiac there. I love this one because of the fact that if you are online and do any type of mental health games, you will see this little mental health guy. The kids are familiar with him, and he's lifting up the weights. He's lifting the children up to stop the stigma. And then again, create an inclusive, including everyone, safe and supportive school environment. And for students to be aware that if they need help, there's help available, and there are students who can help them if they're seeking the help, because they will have the knowledge. Next slide, please. One of the things when talking to Hannah Bolt and talking about other programs with NAMI education and program coordinators, what we found out is that there's not a leadership portion. And so I made sure, as a leadership development coordinator on a campus in SAISD, Sam Houston, and I was afforded this opportunity, what happened is the leadership portion is so important. And so with that, the clubs will not be called the Mental Health Awareness and Leadership Development Club. The clubs will be named by each student, by each each campus, and their activities. They will be able to develop those activities. Jefferson, who are Mustangs, they may want to be the Mustangs stumping out mental health or whatever. So we want to give them that autonomy so that they can do, and the club can belong to them, not us. It's important that officers are elected. It is important that the kids know the system of how things work with elections, campaign, and those type things, doing posters. We will have a president who oversees the club, secretary who does minutes for approval and document, serves also as a historian, and an activities director, which will coordinate the activities for the club. Next, we will have communication protocols. We want to make sure that the students can communicate with adults and others, that they can introduce themselves, that they have a voice and they are clear in what it is that they're saying, plus organizational structure of how a club operates. Time management skills. Students will be asked to at least do one activity, and they will need to come up with those time management skills. How can we get this done in the amount of time that we have been authorized to do this? Become San Antonio mental health youth ambassadors. Very important. When I went to talk to the campuses, to the principals, they assigned to me automatically when I said mental health, that stigma surfaced. We assigned to you our assistant principal over special education. And we'll assign to you our behavior health specialists. And I thought, I need to change some of the words and put in ambassadors, because a youth ambassador will represent the campus, NAMI, and San Antonio Independent School District, or whatever school district that they will be representing. And with this, what we're actually wanting is, we're not excluding those kids. We're all inclusive. But what we want is, we want those students who want to be health care professionals, doctors, lawyers, nurses. Those are the type of people that we're looking for as well. Because most adults think that with mental health, it's just the special needs students who have been diagnosed or undiagnosed, but it's not. And I had to make it clear that it can be your football captain, president of your student council. And the reason I know this is because they were assigned to my campus. And so those two schools, Jefferson and Lanier, were identified because I knew that there was a need. So the word youth ambassador will change the tone of the students who will be within the club. We want them to become role models. We ourselves will become role models for them. We would like to give them opportunities to volunteer and perform community service activities. And while they're doing all these things, you know, the other kids are watching. And so, of course, they're motivated, saying things like, I want to be a member, I want to be a part of that. Next slide, please. Benefits of being a club member. You see on my little thing on the side, identifying positive childhood experiences that shape mental health in adults. And we want them to have positive experiences. So they will learn about the various mental health conditions. There will be opportunities where they will collaborate with other club members. They will be, again, I keep listing positive role models for their peers. They will learn how to conduct meetings, prepare agenda, promote campus activities, and plan events. The main thing is to reduce the stigma. We want them to know that mental health is just a condition. It's just like having diabetes, or I don't want to use cancer, but any other kind of illness that needs to be treated. So we want them to know, and we want them to let the kids know that it's okay, that there's no stigma, and we're not going to discriminate because of that. And then to make it acceptable on the campus, it's okay, and you can talk to us. And then gain experience with working with other peers from other campuses, working with adults from the other campuses and from NAMI San Antonio, and just being able to have an organization and organize. Next slide, please. NAMI Youth Ambassadors. This is what I wanted her to pin me. So if you can't see me, I really want to show you something. The youth ambassadors for NAMI clubs will wear lanyards. And this is a lanyard. And I was asked, well, would that be mandatory that they wear lanyards? So I asked the student, would you be able to wear a lanyard? And he, of course, said, yes, I would love to wear a lanyard. And these lanyards will serve a purpose. The lanyards will serve the purpose of peers on campus knowing who is a member of the club. These lanyards will also be indicators of whether a student is new to the club, which that student will be a rookie, learning information, then junior varsity, moving on up, and then varsity at a leadership level. If a student begins the club in 9th grade, they must progress to show their leadership skills. And so this is what we're doing. On the back of these, and it looks kind of blurry, but on the back of these lanyards will be information. Suicide hotline, crisis intervention, and the students would tell us what else we need, but I just need to give you some examples of what would be on the back of this. On the front will be the name of their clubs. And also with lanyards, what I want you to see is that students put badges on their lanyards. This is how they do on a lot of schools. And so we're thinking about having some badges when they reach a certain point. But all of this is just trial and error. And these things are what's in the makings for children. So I think that's important. And I have to show my badge from when I was a principal. And I don't know if you can see it, but my badge has all kinds of little cute stuff on it because the kids like to see my badge and the things that I had on it. Next slide, please. Thank you, Patty. This is the part that excites me the most. With all of this, what's different about NAMI San Antonio? What's different about NAMI San Antonio is NAMI San Antonio will pay for membership for the students to be part of NAMI National, NAMI Texas, and NAMI San Antonio. I'm excited about that. The students will have an opportunity to attend and participate in NAMI programming. They will participate, I list some signature programming here like NAMI Walk, the Pathway of Hope youth conferences. I can see these kids in an auditorium setting after the pandemic, showing people where to sit and just introducing themselves and just being visible as our youth ambassadors. We're planning, I'll talk more about this, a Youth Bridges for Care in the WISE program. But this was the part that I had to ask several students, how do they feel about this? And with membership to NAMI comes a magazine, an Advocate magazine, and that's a quarterly magazine. And I asked them, what do you think about getting a magazine in the mail? Because I thought, okay, you're old, you know, it may not be a thing. And they were very excited about that and said, a magazine in the mail? I said, well, you can get it online if you like. Oh no, we wanted to come in the mail with our names on it. And I thought, awesome, it will happen. So they will be receiving a magazine. And then we wanted opportunities. NAMI San Antonio would like to have relationships with these students. And as the coordinator, I most definitely want to have relationships with the students. So in forming those relationships, I want to know these students. And so community service hours will be provided, as you know, that's needed for college applications. And then many of these students will be working. And so they may need information on their job application. What better way than for a future employee to look at you and notice on your application that you are a member of NAMI, National Association on Mental Illness. So that would be a good way for students to be employed. Next slide, please. This is just a list of activities. I'm not going to go through all of these activities because these are just lists that we shared, but the students will be able, the activities director will be able to guide their club as to what activities they need. But one of the requirements, and I'll talk about it later, is the Ending the Silence presentation. It has to be presented for everyone, and I'll talk about that later. But anyway, I can just see the posters that the kids have created that talks about mental wellness around the campus. I can see the kids at the food bank and other places helping out. I can see them passing out ribbons during Mental Health Week, the green ribbons for students to wear so that they can be aware. Doing testing. Again, campuses are more focused on academics, but the stress of having to pass a test in order to move from grade level to grade level or graduate is very challenging. So I included in this just for these activities, the stress relieving activities for yoga, but my thing is line dancing or whatever it is that the students would like to do. And not just for the final weeks, but anytime there's testing situation that causes stress and any kind of thing like this on the campus. And then I thought about the lime green tie-dye activities, and I thought about the spirit towels for that, where they can dye them and they can always have their towels. But most importantly, if you're looking at any type of movies in this day and age, you will see movies that deal with therapy and mental health. I have seen so many movies where they are saying, I'm going to therapy, or you need to go to therapy in a positive manner, and these other things. And so to be able to screen movies to talk about this and to have those conversations. Next slide, please. I included a student picture with permission because this is my student that I've been talking about. I want to show a video clip of him where the San Antonio media did a spotlighted him, as well as San Antonio Independent School System awarded him with a plaque for what he's doing with mental health. His name is Joseph G. And with Joseph planned a visual for Jefferson High School with a focus on mental health and the need for mental health services to be on the campus. There were about 75 students at the crack of dawn. It was nighttime. It was dark. These kids traveled around the campus. Jefferson is on 30 acres. I know everything about Jefferson because I was a vice principal. So Jefferson, they corralled around Jefferson with these candles, and it was so powerful. So he is one of the contact people. He was going to be on with his mother today just to learn more additional information, but he is currently the salutatorian, that's the second, the person who's second with the second highest grade point average. And he's attending an academic decathlon meet today. Good luck. And then if you look at the picture, you'll see his little leg. He plays football, and that's a football injury. So he's wobbling around, but he's still doing things on his campus and talking to people. And he's going to run for president of his club. And he's also seeking students to be a member of the club. So they're going to learn, going back to this, because I thought that was important, but to learn about mental health, to talk about others. And one of the things that they really wanted was how to cope with stress, depression, and anxiety. And what this does is it affords an opportunity. Some people have asked, what challenges do kids experience? As you can see, the same challenges as us. And lastly, he talked about having speakers with lived experiences that can come and talk to them about recovery. So what we have is we have ending the silence, and I'm on the second part of training for that. But ending the silence, the purpose is to change the misconception about mental health and to end the silence surrounding mental health. It lets kids know that mental health is like any other kind of physical condition. Yes, Patty. This club supports the campuses. The campus, the teachers, administrators will be able to gain resources from a national level with NAMI. They will be able to, we are going to provide people with lived experience, because that's what everybody wants to be able to talk to, those people who are living well in their recovery, and talk to them and ask them questions face to face. It's important that the schools create an environment that discouraging bullying, and we'll be in middle schools later on because that's where the highest level of bullying is, and to provide support for those students with mental health challenges. And then to establish themselves like a trauma-informed campus, but a campus that is concerned about children's mental health. And I've just listed some resources. I've already talked about the Center for Young Minds, and we share all these resources and ways to help kids improve their quality of life. Next slide, please. So again, I told you about the campus assigned staff, but it has increased from the special ed assistant principal and the behavior specialist who works with the special needs students, to communities in schools, CIS, which is an organization with social workers, and they're there on campus to support students who need help, tutoring, and any kind of assistance. Social workers, of course, who provide those things that kids may need outside of campus, food, shelter, clothing. And then the Family and Community Engagement Group, FACE, and the counselors, but we're not depending too much on counselors because they are tied up with a lot of academic pieces. And the way counseling is set up now is kind of limited for them to be able to work one-on-one with children. They do listen to children, but there are other people on campus that can support us, and these are the people who are supporting us on the campus. Next slide, please. That was an explanation of the journey with the handbook and why the informational packet and why things are included in that packet. So where are we now? So this is a teaser slide. Where we are now is that the Mental Health Awareness and Leadership Club program information is scheduled to be presented at a board meeting for approval. I have December 6th. I was told yesterday, because I have that communication with the district, that is December the 13th, no problem, we can wait. And then clubs are scheduled to begin in January 2022. And at first, when I heard about this, I was kind of discouraged, but now I realize that we need to have all the time that we can. It's not going to be a go in and all of a sudden you have a club established. Next slide, please. So the first requirement I wanted to, I'm so proud of my little certificate. The first thing is that when you go into a school system, for those of you who do not know how to maneuver and navigate a system, but the first thing with anything is that you must have clearance from the district to work with children. SAISD requires a background check, which will cost the person who needs the background check $50. So we were able to, because I knew that NAMI, the people who are responsible or working with NAMI will not be one-on-one with any child, taking them to the restroom or anything. There will be no one-on-one interaction outside of the area that's been assigned. And so we were able to just use a volunteer clearance form where you fill out information and take a quiz, and it tells you. I'm proud of this because I am a mentor and have been a mentor for SAISD with the Young Women's Leadership Academy. So this is important that you are cleared through the district. Next slide, please. So then we were thinking everything was okay. And one day, as I was talking to Lanier saying, the Lanier team is saying, we haven't heard from you, what's going on? And I said, well, Donnie, have you done an MOU? What? An MOU? I said, no, we didn't think we needed it. So she says, yes, we would need to have a memorandum of understanding. And of course, the principal contacted me. And so in that memorandum of understanding, the one that was, I said, send me a sample. When they sent the sample, to my surprise, it was a memorandum of understanding that I had created for my campus. So I was very familiar that nothing had changed. And I was very honored that the memorandum of understanding was created by me. So very easy to do this memorandum of understanding. In that memorandum of understanding, the things that you would outline is the purpose of the agreement. Of course, we wanted a mental health club established on the campus with students. The plan for your service, what is your plan? And then NAMI San Antonio responsibilities, and we just had list our signature programs, and then we identified the district responsibilities. Next slide, please. The one thing was that we had to ensure that we identified those district responsibilities. So what we wanted the district to do was make sure they provided us with the parent consent forms that we need to have on file, that your child can be a member of this club. Included in that will be information about transportation and all of that we would gather. We needed them to identify the students who will be on the clubs because we're not on campus and we don't know who these students are and who shows interest. Provide us with a time and a place for the meetings. Jefferson will be meeting during an advisory period at 8:00 a.m. and Lanier will be meeting after school at 4:00. Give us those sponsors, which I have shared with you who they are. Allow us to distribute our NAMI materials on their campus. So there's been places on the campus for NAMI materials to be placed, and assist us with printing. There are print shops at Lanier and other campuses for any printing that we need, and materials or things like pencil, paper, that kind of thing that are already there on the campus, but it would not be an additional cost for NAMI because those things are there. And most importantly, to have an open communication, which they are doing, communicating with us to let us know what's going on, what are your concerns. Next slide, please. When I went to the district to talk to the district, what they wanted was, when I talked to them, Beth Jones was my contact person who was a special ed teacher. She's second in command in SAISD. So she was a special ed teacher with me at Sam Houston. And I keep saying Sam Houston because my former principal is on this line. But anyway, what happened was, she said, oh, Donnie, that's great. And I said, we're only piloting 2 schools. We want to know how this goes. And she says, oh, no, this is what I need you to do. I need you to do the middle schools, and I need you to do, and I said, well, hold on, slow down. We need to talk about, but the need is so great. I know, hold on. You wanted us to fly the plane, and the plane is not even built and in the hangar. You're taking us too fast. Slow down, give us time. NAMI is a grassroots organization. NAMI is supported by volunteers. So we would need time to get all of these things and train volunteers for the program. So hold on. So she said, okay, but if you can do 2 additional ones in January for us. And so, of course, she identified campuses that is an urgency that the program is on their campus. And I knew that. And so the agreement was made at the time. But here is you're looking at this. Next year, SAISD wants us to be at all middle and high schools. That's how much they believe in the program. And NAMI is up for NAMI San Antonio is up for that challenge. Next slide, please. So let's look at this timeline, because I wanted to put this kind of last. And Patty, please keep me on the time. I forgot to set my timer. What's going on is we started with NAMI North Texas in April. We started talking about what it is that they are doing in their clubs. We started writing the handbook. Then in August, when school was beginning to start, we met with the principal of Lanier, who told us who would be working with us. And he was so awesome. He was able to identify to my committee what he wanted for his campus, and he was right on target. Then next day we met with Jefferson, and he identified who would be with us. And he's had some hiccups on his campus because one of the people is no longer on the campus that was supposed to work with us. So that was a little hiccup for us. And then that's when, in September, is when Lanier says, hey, Donnie, where's that MOU? So we began writing the MOU. We were able to submit an MOU in October. Didn't take us long to write it, but we took our time to make sure that we included everything. And then one thing so we had a deadline for it to be approved in October. They came October 12th. They came back to us October 14th and said, what's this with this curriculum? And what are those NAMI signature programs? You've just listed them. So Doug and I had to go back through, and Doug put in all those signature programs, family to family, NAMI connections, basic, peer to peer, all of those programs and how they would benefit each campus. I took our curriculum. I attended a meeting for the Center for Young Minds, and as we were talking, someone says, we don't want curriculum because curriculum takes away from what the students need to do. And I thought, aha, they're right. Why am I looking for all this curriculum? So we took curriculum out so that the kids would have the power. Well, we do have a resource guide. It's called Teen Mental Health. There's a website, teenmentalhealth.org. But we will only use that as a resource and let the kids do what they need to do for their club. So we had to go back. Then November the 1st, the MOU was reviewed again. And then the district had additional questions that we were able to answer. And then on yesterday, I was supposed to have and that's supposed to be the 12th, but there's 13. But I was supposed to have a meeting with the School Health Advisory Council, which looks at any plan that deals with student health, comprised of parents and teachers and community members to talk about the mental health awareness and leadership development clubs. But instead, I had a meeting where it was like a run through for the 10 minutes that I need to talk, and I can talk over 10 minutes, but to ensure. And then on the 19th, we'll have another follow-up. And it's not December the 6th, I was told yesterday, December the 13th will be the final approval for us to get this thing started. So again, it's not an easy process. It takes something that I have, perseverance, and we persevered until now. Next slide. And it was my intentions to have stories and acclamations from students, but at this time, we are not able to do that. So it was advised to me by Doug to have this advisory committee, not necessarily to meet, but to be able to call them and say, okay, what can we do? What can we not do? And these are the members who comprise this committee. As you see, they're executive directors and directors. Fortunately for me, I know all of them, they're personal friends. And then I included Joseph from Jefferson. You need to always have the voice of the student. And I have been in constant communication with Team Lanier, who's on board and just ready. When are we going to get this started? And their CIS site coordinator is also a social worker. And so she's a big help. And then you always need to have that board member that's the policy maker for the district on your side. And so I have 2 board members, one from Lanier and one from Jefferson, who are pulling for us and realize the needs for this program. Next slide, please. All of this, it just began with a high school club, but it has provided so many opportunities for NAMI San Antonio to get information out that can change a community. NAMI San Antonio has a lot of programs, Bridges to Care, that I am a wellness champion, where they're training communities. And so NAMI has had an opportunity to participate in professional development. They just talked to one professional development with middle school counselors, another professional development with high school counselors. I will be talking about some things, social emotional learning components with that school health advisory council. And then I participated along with one of the people who are working with me, committee members. We participated in the First Principals Coffee. We were able to talk to parents and get them on board to what it is that we're doing. And then it's an opportunity to present those people out there, you know, who are NAMI, you know about the Ending the Silence presentation. Now we can get this easily to the campuses because it is a prerequisite that any student who goes through our program must be able to view this video that's 50 minutes. I think it's 50 minutes long, and then there's a 10-minute section with a lived experience person who's in recovery or coping with recovery. And then there are areas on campus. I made sure this was done by calling my friends. And there are areas in 5 districts for NAMI San Antonio material that's located in places for staff and parents, because we want to make sure that this information is out so that the communities can get the help that they need to improve their quality of life. Next, please. What's next for NAMI? At first, when I was doing this and thinking about it, I thought, how can I do 25 clubs? But it became clear to me that I took the lead. I did what was asked to do to get these clubs established. And now we let NAMI do what we say, the kids say, do their thing. So NAMI is currently actively recruiting individuals. And if you're out there, because a lot of my sorority sisters are on, and you're out there and you want to be a Ending the Silence presenter, get in contact with us. We have room for you. And it's very easy to do. Doesn't take much time, and it is online. And we're looking for people with lived experiences. And we have been very fortunate because we have an incoming board member, hopefully he's an incoming board member, at the University of Incarnate Word, who works in the pharmacy department, who has shared with me that I have the letter. He has sent out to 300 pharmacy students a call for help for Ending the Silence presenters and those who are living with in recovery and can share their lived experiences. And so we are excited to see what this will do. But we're raising that army. We will have that army to work with these students. So also there are other college students that are being identified to serve as mentors, plus those students, those 300 students will hopefully become mentors, because kids need to have other adults that they can share information with. But college students, closer to their age group, and they can have that discussion using the language that they use and the slang that they know so well. NAMI's in the process because of this of doing, and thanks to Doug, our CEO and interim director, he has such a vision, and we think alike. And so we have the Bridges for Care in San Antonio that's adult driven. Now we want to do the youth Bridges for Care. We want to go into the community and pull the children and let them be spokespeople in the community. Also, there's a new program that you'll hear more about. It's called the WISE, WISE, I like that, Welcoming, Inclusive, Supportive, and Engaging Program. And we will be working on that. And when I talked to Joseph, he said, Miss Whitey, what I want to do is have a youth summit, but I want to have it at the Alamo Dome. And I say, hold on, wait a minute. We're not having any youth summit at the Alamo Dome. That would be too many kids and we can't control. But we do want to have a mental health youth summit. We'll begin with the pilot program students to see how it goes and to see that information. Next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Keyword. Of all the words, of all the measurements, of everything else that I could think of, this is it. Sustainability. We can do the pilot programs. We can have 25 schools in 2022. What happens in 2023? Will we be able to have these programs? Will these programs be able to sustain themselves? And so this is a key word for me to measure how successful. I don't want to know how many kids were in the program and this. I want to know, did this program last? Is this lasting? Sustainability. Next slide, please. I don't know my time, and I know I talk a long time. So the thing about it is, we want you to know that children and young adults or young people, mental health and well-being matters to us. We will do whatever we can to ensure that students, children are getting the services that they need, that they can become productive adults, and not those that we see that are committing these things on television and anything else. Oh, okay. Will somebody tell me how much time I have left, please? Next slide. These are volunteers. NAMI is a grassroots volunteer organization. I have to let you know, we have Verna Lister, who's been just so wonderful working with this and introducing me to people so that can help with the program. And she's retired from NAMI. She's working there in a consultant role as a trainer, but she's a volunteer. She's sticking with this all the way. We have another board member that's with us all the way, and that's Cliff McLaughlin, who's working with us. And then we have a new member to NAMI San Antonio. I just call her Anna, and she's a wonderful person, and she's with Education and Outreach. And then we have our educational director, Mary, who works with us. It takes a village, but it takes a team to get things done. Okay, they're telling me I have another 15 to 20 minutes, but I can go through this. Next slide, please. They're putting up the Q&A, but go to the next slide, please. This is my information, and I want you to make sure that you write this information down so that you can make contact. My vision is, and Doug, our vision is, that with this presentation, that we will be able to ensure that this program is duplicated by other affiliates, that we will be able to reach the hearts, minds, and souls of children so that we can ensure that their quality of life is such that they will be productive citizens. And so I'm not gonna backtrack through anything, because when I did my runner show, it took me over an hour, and I think I sped it up just a little bit for you to make sure that I did not run out of time. But I know that there are a lot of questions that you may want to ask me about the program, what it is, but my apologies that when I thought that I would do this and I put in my proposal, again, I felt that I would have those voices of children. And of course, that has not occurred. But we are waiting and we know that it's going to happen. So at Lanier High School, they have been meeting with students because they are meeting with the CIS representative. They're giving her information and she's giving information to me as well. And so these are the things that are occurring. At Jefferson, Joseph is working with students so that once this MOU is approved, we're off and running. We've done all the things that we can do to make this a success. And I'm just looking forward to seeing all of these things come to pass. I'm looking forward to seeing the youth, the children, make decisions for themselves, to have a club that they will be very proud of, that they can talk about, just to share stories, just to help others on the campus. I'm looking forward to seeing them walking around with their lanyards, with the information, and maybe pins or buttons that we can have for them. But we are so looking forward to this program. Again, we want you to ask us questions. We want you to start this with your NAMI affiliates, because this is so important. But this is the one thing that goes on in my head. With NAMI only currently listing itself as an organization that works with 18 plus, we are on to something that's epic, because we are using high school students this year, which changes systemically, hopefully, Doug, I hope I don't say anything wrong, changes systemically NAMI programming and what NAMI does. The signature program support what are already in place, supports parents and kids, but to actually have these students to do this, to actually have NAMI affiliates do the mental health awareness and leadership clubs would actually just be awesome. And I want you to know that there is something called NAMI on Campus College. And this program is up and running in San Antonio and other affiliates. And these are college students. But see, sometimes people think that high school students are not mature enough to do things. And that is not the case. All they need is opportunities to learn and grow. And that's what we're doing. We're giving them those opportunities where they can learn and grow and be better people, and just to do what they love doing, being in charge and being leaders. I'm going to go ahead on because I knew that there would probably be a lot of questions, and I would like to be able to answer those particular questions. And I wanted to give time to that, because if I say anything else, it becomes redundant point, and I don't want redundant points to be issued. So if you have any questions, if you want to, Patty, Doug, if we want to put them in the chat, I know you have questions. I saw some questions come through, and so we just need to know
let's see if anybody from the audience has some questions. And while so if anybody has a question, you're live, so you can go ahead and come on screen and ask Donnie questions. There's a lot of material here.
Thank you, Donnie. It was amazing. It's very exciting to see what NAMI San Antonio is doing.
Okay. I have 15 minutes for questions. I know you have questions about this important program, this change in NAMI and the change with NAMI San Antonio and the support that they are given. I also want you to know, even when I send out a link with this information, that I field a lot of phone calls for people asking for the mental health and awareness clubs to be placed on their campuses. And these are not with San Antonio Independent School District. These are other districts. So we're going to have a lot of work that we need to do to get this. And in fact, what is going to happen, I have a phone call after this with a young lady from Ohio, which I've never met anyone from Ohio. And I will be talking to her, and she's interested. She has started a program and wants to know what we can do. Also on this is a Bud Brown, who has been very instrumental in assisting with NAMI and the things that we're trying to do with this particular program. And so someone has asked in the chat about the MOU. Sure, we can share our MOU. Just make sure it's not any secret document, and it clearly outlines all of this information. So that's what we do with NAMI. You know that. We share everything. Anything that's going to be used will be shared. And
So one of the
interested, if you can just write this down, teenmentalhealth.org, and that is the resource guide that you can use if you need that information. Yes, Patty.
One of the questions was, how are the students going to be trained on mental health topics? And does a NAMI volunteer provide that training?
NAMI provides training for ending the silence, and NAMI does have staff members. The person who's doing that ending the silence training is Verna, who's listed there. She will be doing the training. Doug has some ideas for something he calls a bench, which I told him we need to have that conversation, but the training can be provided. The ending the silence training is online, actually. Part 1 is online, and I took the online training. Wasn't very difficult. Did not take me a long time to go through all of the components that were listed. Next will be part 2. Part 2 entails going before a person and actually going through your presentation without your notes and looking at the video and being able to go through the video without notes and just talk and explain what is on, well, video slideshow, what is on the PowerPoint there for the students to be able to answer and be supportive. Also with the ending the silence training, there's another person there are 2 presenters, and then there's one person that has to be there as the support person, because children, even though they are interested in what's being given on the screen, they also want, as they have indicated, we want to talk to someone with a lived experience. So on the 25th of September, I believe, there was, of October, no, September, there was a training at a campus, and a lot of the students were able to stay behind and have one-on-one conversations with individuals, or with the individual that was there for the support. So I hope I was able to answer that particular question and give you even more information that you really asked for.
So what Donnie's
You
talking about is the Ending the Silence program, the presentation. And that is done by 2 people. You have a lead presenter, and then you have a youth presenter, ages 18 to 35. And those 2 presenters will provide a NAMI Ending the Silence presentation, and that's where the students are learning about mental health.
Let me add a couple notes. There are other, Donnie, the clubs are going to decide what kind of materials that they want to see, what kind of classes they want to have. So some of the other classes that we talked about, for example, are ACEs, a class on ACEs, a class on companionship for youth, which is being developed by Pathways to Promise. So these are not all NAMI classes for youth, programs for youth. These are programs on mental health for youth that they will be able to, there's going to be a menu of things that they can select from. Then the presentations that NAMI has, like Ending the Silence, we can make a presentation. The materials, like, family to family basics, our signature programs. We want to make the students aware that those programs exist, and we anticipate that there will be families. We'll be talking to the PTOs, but there will be families who want this material. So the clubs are going to be more than just the students talking about this. We'll be able to share information with them about other NAMI programs, but we're not going to be doing the adult classes for the students.
And we're very pleased with the opportunity to share the NAMI information with the campuses and with the parents. And we're seeking their support for this army that we need. The more people we have involved, the better the program will be. And so we are so excited about doing this. I just can't believe it. It's just so powerful for me to be able to work on something that's my passion. I love working with children. I love the idea that there's an organization who has embraced something like this, and I have an opportunity to help to create and establish a program of this magnitude. The only word is like the kids say, this is epic. This is, it's unbelievable to me. And so to have this opportunity to present at Texas level, to get this information out to others has been very important for me and for NAMI San Antonio. So it's just been, this journey has been awesome. But I need to caution you when you're approaching the school district. I went through improper channels, talking to counselors, my friends, talking to principals, and I realized counselors what can they do? They're not the decision makers. So then I went to the principals, and then one day we were sitting in a meeting and we were with the representatives from the district, and this is what was said. When you've been talking to everybody that's not the decision makers, you need to go to the district and get the district support. And so that's where we are now. We already have the support of the district. They already have given us more than, but we're gonna handle it, but a lot, because they believe in what it is that we're doing. But what's so important about this is the buy-in from everybody that we've talked to. It's been a long road, a long journey, but we're not at the crossroads because we're gonna get to the finish line. And we're hoping to have that, no, we will have sustainability with this club. We will be able to support it. So I'm just so excited to be part of an organization that's given me an opportunity to do what I love. It's not work for me. It's fun for me. And I'm loving every minute of it. And just to see it progress and to be able to answer questions that people may have, you know, they try to stump you with questions and everything. But mental health, I've spent the last 5 years learning about mental health issues, learning about children's mental health. Living, when I was on my campus, it was that's my lived experience. Because when I was on that alternative school campus, and I had partnerships with all these organizations, even with Nick's Hospital and different organizations, when I had to call, and I was sitting on the floor with 5 students in crisis. It was unbelievable. I'm rocking kids. They're all in crisis. I'm the only one that they were looking for help. We were turned down by one hospital because they told us we don't have 5 beds. Remember, it's all about beds. You may not know this. And those beds are assigned to adults. Those beds are assigned to people who are in jail. Those beds are assigned to people who are alcoholics and they don't let them go. That's the Center for Healthcare Services program. They don't go to jail. That's what those beds are reserved for. A lot of beds are not reserved for children because people think that children can cope. They can't. My husband is still at a crossroads now because he says, we learned on the news about someone committing suicide at 9 years old. And he said, suicide, 9 years old. He's still grappling with that. And I'm going, it starts early. The trauma in their lives start early. In high school, we're late, but there has to be a starting point. In middle school, we're late. There has to be another point. It's elementary school. You'll be surprised at the number of kids in elementary schools who are self-medicating and smoking marijuana. and bringing the marijuana to school to sell. And I'm proud to tell you, I got it from my mother. We smoke together. So there's a whole crisis out here. The kids are crying for help. They did the news report and it says kids are asking, the students are requesting, they need help. So NAMI San Antonio and other NAMIs who are doing these things, we are on the right path to help these children. And I am just so pleased to be a part of this journey and to see it all the way to the end.
I have a question in regards to sustainability for the individuals that are going to be stable on the campuses, or the adult person. Is that going to be the counselor or whom? And is it going to try to be the same person at least over a period of 2 or 3 years in order to give some continuity?
One thing, thank you, Ms. Stiles. One thing that we know, we already have the people who are assigned. Of course, we have the behavior specialist. Of course, we have the vice principal. But what we have too is we have the communities and school personnel who are trained to deal and work with students with mental health issues, and they can help us with that training. What normally happens on a school campus, principals are the ones that are reassigned. I stayed on my campus for 14 years. That was just one campus. That was when I was an educator, a teacher, and I stayed on my campus. So we will be able to, if these things, remember, there's always the doors open to make sure, but we want the principals to do the assignment. But you made me think of something. Right now with our 2 pilot programs, and then the other 2 that we're adding that we haven't met with yet, we're okay. But the thing about it is, with having so many, it is going to be difficult, but we will be able to sustain that. But I know that each year the kids is kid driven. So you're going to have a freshman student that goes on to 12th grade. So they will be able to maintain the club, and the principals will be the ones who will decide who will work or who they're given the time to work with the clubs. Did I answer your question, Ms. Stiles?
Yes, you did. That helps. Yes, thank you.
And thank you for
that
the
is
question.
like continuity with kids as much as possible in order. It's so important. The trust that they need, not just with their peers, but with an adult that's going to be there, that they can go to. They know that this person is there. That is definitely going to be an important issue.
Yes, I was mentoring with a student just this week, and they are going through some crisis. And I was paired with them. This is new. I was paired with them, and it was truly a blessing to be with this particular individual. But what happened, I asked the question, what adult on your campus do you trust? Who can you go to talk to? And she said, no one.
Exactly. That's where I'm coming from. So that's going to be part of that relationship with that principal or that vice principal and who they assigned that's going to get this, type of thing. And
Yes.
it's a trial, and I understand it can be a trial and error issue. It may not be this person may not fit right this year. So we know that person when they say, no, I'm not going to do it again, that's okay. It may take a couple of years to get the right mix of the adult there with them. And that's okay, as long as you work toward that.
Well, Ms. Stiles, we have been very fortunate. Again, I mentioned communities in school. I didn't have that on my campus because they are actually, there's a payment that the campus do with that particular group. And of course, on an alternative school, I could not have that. But the thing about it is with communities in school, they are trained and they are receiving training. And so, my community in school person, Natasha, is on here now. And the thing about it is she's a social worker. And
Okay.
she's keeping me on top of things and doing what needs to be done and helping out. And I never met her face to face. We just communicate via phone or email, but I'm just glad that I have people that can be in the corner and help out and see the things that NAMI San Antonio or Donnie White may not need to see, because we're not on the campuses. And in the 3 years that I've been retired, the campuses are totally different. And then with the pandemic, it's even much more different. So to have those people with, I call it boots on the ground. They have the boots on the ground, they're there, they're working, and that's what those staff members are doing for us by identifying those students and working with them and letting us know what do we need to do and getting those parents on board to do the things that need to be done. Any additional questions? And information will be shared. Just make sure everybody probably knows how to get in contact with NAMI San Antonio, those things, but the information will be shared with all of those who are wanting. The MOU will be shared. One of the things that we have in our community, people who are working, and I'm involved with a lot of mental health organizations, we do share. It's important that we share information so that others, it's not anything that we're keeping to ourselves that is personal and it's our thing. No, it's for everyone. My goal is to get the word about the needs of children for mental health. And that's what I'm doing, and have an opportunity to do that. And that's also what I would want, if you're on here, for you to do as well. And if you are my sorority sisters who are on here, then I would like for you to be able to take information, and maybe we can get some of you to be presenters for NAMI, for Ending the Silence. Again, it's not that difficult.
Patty, I was going to suggest, there was a question in the chat to me personally that I was answering, but I began thinking that, as we're getting started in San Antonio on this, and we've got a lot of learning curve ahead of us, we're going to have a good year ahead of us. But at next year's NAMI Texas conference, this might make a good roundtable discussion. I know I can tell from the chat that the different cities have some different programs, and we have a lot to learn from each other. In San Antonio, working in the school districts has probably been one of the most challenging things that we have to do. And it's because of all the things that Donnie's just enumerated. I mean, it's not easy getting into the schools, and then NAMI's programs, signature programs, are dealing with adults. So this is a topic that really, we need to share information and explore more. I want to thank Donnie for her leadership here. You have to have a lot of energy to go into an area like this and work, and Donnie has a high degree of energy and enthusiasm and passion, and you can tell she really cares about the kids. To repeat that statistic that many of us know, 50% of all mental illness begins by age 14, 75% by age 24. Our young people are highly at risk. This is a whole area that we need to develop more within NAMI. And I just want to thank, in front of everybody, Donnie for her leadership and her advocacy. It takes somebody with this passion to raise this up. So thank you, Donnie.
Thank you. You can tell my passion. I did not want to tear up, but when I have, those are my lived experiences. My lived experiences on campus with students. I'm seeing this because I knew nothing about mental health. I just thought they were bad kids. I'm just gonna tell you, I was like everybody else, they were bad kids. But once I got on that campus and saw those students and started talking to those students, and then realized that they start telling me their stories, their lived experience, then I wanted to learn more. And this was something that I also had my staff, since we were on an alternative school, we could do a lot of creative things. My campus has supported NAMI for 5 years, going to their Pathway to Hope conferences to learn information. So the staff has been learning about this. Also did not mention this. San Antonio Independent School District trained 900 staff members, I want to say teacher, staff, professional, and mental health first aid. They made that first step to say, we care about our kids. We care about mental health. We want these students to be successful. And that's a lot of training, and that's a lot of people. And so this is what made it a little bit easier to get in. But yes, it's very difficult to get into a school system. The word is out. It would be easy for us, Doug, to go to other school systems because the word is out about what's going on in SAISD. And then I like to talk about it with my friends who are in other districts. So the word is out. But I don't know how much time I have, but the thing about it is I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you, supporters. Thank you so much for learning and being part of this presentation. And I appreciate you, and I want you to have a delightful weekend and a delightful week. Thank you so much.